Captain Elias Ward sat in the cockpit of the starship Odyssey, staring at the swirling stars ahead. The vast blackness of space stretched endlessly, dotted with distant suns and glimmering planets. Elias had flown through dangerous sectors, battled meteor storms, and navigated alien systems, but nothing had prepared him for what awaited him this time. He glanced at the mission briefing on the console. 2 alien diplomats, Lyra from the ocean world Vera and Kayla from the desert planet Xiphon, had been kidnapped during a tense diplomatic summit. Their lives were now in the hands of extremists who wanted to ignite a war between their worlds. And somehow, Elias was the only human capable of saving them. The message from the extremists still echoed in his mind. You can save only one. Choose wisely, or both will die. Elias exhaled slowly. The words made his stomach tighten. He had trained for crises, yes, but never had a situation demanded that he weigh one life against another. Both Lyra and Kayla had trusted him. Both had shown him courage, intelligence, and faith in humanity's ability to solve impossible problems. He shook his head. I can't choose. I won't choose. The asteroid belt where the hostages were being held appeared on his navigational display. Jagged rocks floated silently, twisted by ancient gravitational forces. Beyond them, the extremist station glimmered with pale blue energy. The place looked abandoned, but he knew better. The extremists had prepared traps and weapons that could destroy a human ship with a single shot. Elias maneuvered carefully, his hands steady on the controls. The Odyssey shuddered as it dodged the first asteroid. Sparks flew from the shields as a few fragments grazed the hull. He breathed steadily. Panic would only get him killed. A soft ping came from the ship's communication console. Lyra's voice, calm but tense, filled the cockpit. Captain Ward, the extremists have divided us. Kayla is in the northern sector and I am in the southern. Their energy fields are synchronized. Only one of us can be released at a time. Kayla's voice joined in, firm and confident. Do not trust their rules, human. There is always a way to save more than they think. Think, Captain Ward. You have the skill to do it. Elias smiled faintly. That's why I didn't panic when I saw this mission, he said quietly. I've faced worse odds before. And I'm not leaving either of you behind. The first trap came as he entered the station's perimeter. A field of rotating energy beams shot across the narrow corridors of the asteroid cave. One wrong move, and the ship's hull would fry instantly. Elias calculated the pattern, timing each movement with precision. He could almost feel the rhythm of the energy waves in his mind, like a deadly dance. Impressive, Kayla said through the link. You are learning their pattern. Keep it up. Lyra added, we are counting on you. Remember, the fields adjust if they detect multiple life forms trying to pass through. You must be fast but careful. Elias tightened his grip on the controls. He pushed the Odyssey forward, narrowly avoiding the next beam. Sparks flew from the edges of the ship as a grazing contact sent shivers through the hull. His heart pounded, but his mind stayed sharp. Every pilot knew the thrill of a tight escape, but this was different. This was life and death for 2 lives, and the fate of interstellar diplomacy rested on his shoulders. Finally, the Odyssey reached the first energy field guarding Lyra. The telepathic alien's presence on the neural interface allowed Elias to sense the patterns of the traps ahead. Lyra's mind flowed into his consciousness, guiding him through the maze. Now, she said. Elias tilted the ship, narrowly dodging the final beam. The force field shimmered and broke, giving him a clear path to the docking port. As he docked, alarms blared inside the station. The extremists were aware of his approach. The ship's shields flickered as energy weapons fired from hidden positions. Elias rolled the ship in an evasive maneuver, using the docking cables to pull himself closer. Inside, Lyra awaited, her pale blue skin glowing faintly in the dim light. Her large eyes reflected relief and trust as she stepped toward him. "You made it," she said softly. "I'm not done yet," Elias said. "Kyla is still out there." Suddenly, the extremists appeared on the station's observation deck. They were humanoid but wore armor that shimmered with alien energy. Their leader, a tall figure with sharp features and piercing green eyes, spoke through a translator device. "You may save one. Choose quickly. One life only. If you attempt to save both, all will die." Elias clenched his fists. The ultimatum was cruel, but he refused to bend to their will. He looked at Lyra, then to the communicator linking him to Kayla. Both women were alive. Both depended on him. He shook his head. "I will not choose," he said firmly. "I will find a way to save both." The extremists laughed, a chilling, hollow sound. "You are foolish, human. No one has ever defied our rules." Elias ignored them. He scanned the station's systems through his neural interface, searching for a weakness. Every panel, every energy conduit, every protective field was analyzed in seconds. Then he saw it. The two energy cells powering the prisoner capsules were synchronized, but not fully locked. With precise timing and human ingenuity, he might be able to desynchronize them just long enough to release both women. "It's risky," he muttered to himself. "One mistake and it's over." Lyra sensed his thoughts. "Captain, I trust you. Focus. You can do this." Kayla's voice rang out next. "You are more than just a pilot. Your mind is sharper than their technology. Use it!" Elias took a deep breath and activated the override protocol. The station's systems reacted immediately, and alarms screamed across the corridors. Beams of energy tried to trap the ship, and automated drones launched from hidden panels. He dodged them all with quick reflexes. The Odyssey glided like a shadow through the chaos, guided by both skill and instinct. Inside the station, he worked quickly to manipulate the energy cells. Sparks flew as the alien technology resisted him, but Elias's determination did not waver. "Almost there," he muttered. "Just a little more." Suddenly, a massive surge of energy struck the station. The floor trembled and the walls shook. Elias held on tight as Lyra and Kayla screamed warnings through the communicator. The extremists had detected the override and triggered the emergency lockdown. Elias's hands moved faster. He adjusted frequencies, rerouted power, and calculated precise timing in milliseconds. The capsules began to glow with soft light, signaling the release sequence. Then the leader of the extremists appeared on the deck again. "Stop this, human! You cannot save both!" "I already am," Elias said, sweat dripping down his face. "And I won't fail." With one final adjustment, the energy fields around both Lyra and Kayla began to collapse. A soft hum filled the station as the capsules opened simultaneously. Both women stepped out safely, their eyes wide with amazement. Elias exhaled, barely believing it himself. "You're safe," he said. "Both of you." The extremists stared in disbelief, their plans ruined. Elias knew this was only the beginning. The extremists would not surrender so easily, and the station itself was unstable from the energy surges. He turned to the two women. "We need to move. Now." Together, they ran through the corridors, dodging falling debris and remaining security drones. Elias guided them to the docking bay where the Odyssey awaited. With skillful maneuvering, they launched into space, leaving the extremists behind in their collapsing station. As they drifted away, Lyra and Kyla looked at Elias with a mix of gratitude and awe. He had refused to choose, refused to let cruelty dictate his actions. Humanity had once again proven that courage, intelligence, and heart could overcome impossible odds. Elias leaned back in his seat, exhausted but satisfied. "We're not out of danger yet," he said, "but we're together. And together, we can survive anything." The stars stretched endlessly before them, but now they seemed full of promise. For the first time in a long while, Elias felt hope, not just for himself, but for all humans and the alien worlds who might one day know the strength of a human heart. And so, the impossible choice was refused, and a hero's journey had only just begun. The Odyssey drifted through the asteroid belt, its shields flickering from the earlier damage. Elias Ward wiped sweat from his brow and studied the holographic map of the surrounding sector. Every twist of rock, every floating fragment of ancient debris posed a threat. Yet, this was the only route that could lead them safely to friendly space. Lyra floated near the ship's observation deck, her bioluminescent skin glowing softly. She pressed her hand against the glass and murmured in the Veyran tongue, "These asteroids, they feel alive, Captain. It is as if they watch us." Kayla, seated at the navigation console, scowled. "I have flown through deserts that shifted like sandstorms, but this is worse. We must be precise, or we will die here." Elias nodded, focusing on the controls. "We'll make it. Stick close and follow my lead. The key is timing, patience, and trust." Both aliens shared a glance, their trust in humanity and in him unspoken yet profound. They knew that Elias had already risked his life to save them both, defying the extremists' cruel ultimatum. But the challenge was far from over. Suddenly, the ship's sensors picked up movement, drones, sleek and black, darting between asteroids. They were remnants of the extremist forces, programmed to intercept and destroy any ship carrying the hostages. "Drones!" Kayla hissed, her hands flying over the controls. "They know we are here. Prepare for evasive maneuvers." Elias leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "I've seen these before. They move fast, but they are predictable if you watch carefully." The Odyssey weaved through the belt, its thrusters burning in sharp bursts. Sparks flew as small fragments collided with the hull, and the drones pursued relentlessly. Elias's hands moved with precision, his instincts honed from years of flying in impossible situations. He could anticipate their path, cutting through the gaps between asteroids with millimeter accuracy. Lyra reached out with her telepathic abilities, sensing the drone's patterns. "Captain, on your left. 3 approaching." Kayla adjusted the ship's shields, channeling energy in short bursts to deflect incoming attacks. "Hold steady. We will get through this," she said, her voice firm. For the next several minutes, it was a tense dance of death. The drones were fast and relentless, but Elias, with the guidance of his 2 alien companions, outmaneuvered them at every turn. His mind raced, calculating every trajectory, every energy discharge. Finally, the last drone was crushed between 2 massive asteroids, sparks scattering across the void. The trio exhaled in relief, though they knew this was just the beginning. Elias turned to the holographic display. The extremist station was ahead, deeper in the sector, but now it was even more dangerous. The station's energy grid had been modified to respond to neural activity, making the release of both hostages impossible without precise synchronization. "I have an idea," Elias said, a spark of determination lighting his eyes. "If I can link all 3 of our neural signatures, I might be able to override their system." Lyra's eyes widened. "It is risky. The energy required could overload your mind, Captain." Kayla nodded. "And if you fail, we all die." Elias smiled faintly. "Then we don't fail." They moved into position near a small, rocky moon where they could approach the station undetected. Elias extended his hands toward the ship's neural interface, connecting it to both Lyra and Kayla through the secure link. He could feel their thoughts, their emotions, and their trust. It was overwhelming, but also empowering. "Ready?" he asked. "Ready," Lyra whispered. "Let's do it," Kayla said. Elias activated the override sequence. The ship's systems hummed with energy, sending precise pulses through the neural link. The extremist station's energy fields flickered, reacting to the human mind in a way they had never anticipated. But the extremists were prepared. Alarms blared and security drones launched from hidden compartments. The station itself began to shift, massive energy conduits thrumming with power. The ship shook violently as Elias fought to maintain the connection. "Hold on!" he shouted. "I've got this!" The three of them worked as one. Elias's mind coordinated with Lyra's precognitive abilities and Kayla's kinetic energy manipulation. They moved in perfect synchrony, guiding pulses of energy through the station's defenses, neutralizing traps and weakening the synchronization locks on the hostage capsules. At one point, a surge of energy shot through the ship, and Elias cried out in pain. His mind burned with the effort of controlling the neural link, but he refused to let go. Lyra and Kayla reinforced the connection, their powers shielding him from the worst of the backlash. "Almost there!" Elias gasped. "Just a few more seconds!" The extremists watched in disbelief. Their technology, designed to control life and death, was being overpowered by a single human. They had underestimated not only his skill, but also the power of trust and unity. The capsules began to glow. Both Lyra and Kayla felt the restraints weaken. Freedom was within reach, but the station's energy was unstable. A massive surge threatened to collapse the entire structure, and debris began to rain down around them. Elias didn't hesitate. He pushed harder, synchronizing their thoughts, their energy, and their will. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and the hull groaned under the stress. But the capsules finally opened. Both women stepped out safely, free from the cruel constraints that had held them. Lyra's voice trembled with gratitude. You did it, Captain. Both of us are safe." Kayla smiled, wiping sweat from her brow. "I knew humanity had courage. But this is beyond anything I imagined." Elias exhaled, feeling the strain in his body. "We're not safe yet. The station is unstable. We need to get out now." With remarkable precision, he guided the Odyssey through the crumbling station. Energy beams collapsed, debris floated like deadly projectiles, and alarms echoed through the corridors. But the ship moved like a shadow, avoiding every threat. Finally, they broke free into open space. The station exploded behind them in a dazzling burst of light, debris scattering in every direction. Elias, Lyra, and Kayla floated in silence, watching the destruction. The extremists' plan had failed, and their lives were preserved, thanks to human ingenuity, courage, and the unity of three minds working together. Elias finally relaxed slightly. "We made it," he said. "But the extremists will not give up easily. This is only the beginning." Lyra nodded, her eyes reflecting both worry and admiration. "You have shown them the strength of humanity, Captain. They will remember this." Kayla added, "And they will fear it. Fear what can be accomplished when humans refuse to follow cruel rules." Elias smiled faintly. "Then we'll be ready. We have each other. And that is more powerful than any weapon they have." As the Odyssey drifted toward safer space, the trio began to plan their next move. They would need allies, strategies, and careful timing. The extremists were cunning and ruthless, but Elias had proven that human determination could overcome impossible odds. Above them, the stars shone brightly, indifferent to the struggles below. Yet in that vast expanse, one human had shown that courage, trust, and ingenuity could defy even the most cruel and powerful forces. And though danger still lurked, the bond between Elias, Lyra, and Kayla had been forged in the heat of adversity, stronger than any energy field or alien technology. Together, they were unstoppable. Elias leaned back in his seat, closing his eyes for a moment. "We've won this battle," he whispered, "but the war is not over." Not yet. And with that thought, The Odyssey moved forward, carrying its passengers toward new challenges, new discoveries, and new chances to prove that humanity could triumph against all odds, even in the farthest reaches of space. The Odyssey drifted silently through the darkness of deep space, its engines humming softly. Captain Elias Ward sat in the cockpit, his mind still racing from the events in the collapsing extremist station. Lyra and Kyla were safe, but the threat was far from over. The extremists would regroup, they would strike again, and this time, the stakes could be even higher. Lyra floated near the observation deck, her eyes scanning the stars. "Captain, I sense movement ahead," she said, her telepathic abilities alerting her to the subtle energy signatures of approaching ships. Kayla leaned over the navigation console, frowning. "They have reinforcements. Faster, smaller vessels. Likely scouts. We must act carefully. One wrong move and we are trapped." Elias's jaw tightened. He had already risked everything to save them, and he would not falter now. "We won't run. Not anymore. We fight smart. We fight together." The first of the extremist vessels emerged from the darkness. Sleek black ships glinted against distant starlight. They moved with precision, forming a blockade around the Odyssey. Elias took a deep breath and activated the ship's defensive systems. Energy shields flared, glowing bright blue as they absorbed the first wave of attacks. Kayla worked quickly, channeling her kinetic abilities to reinforce the shields. Sparks flew from the control panels as she directed energy with precise control. "Shields holding, barely," she said. "We need to break through or we'll be surrounded." Lyra's telepathy guided Elias to weak points in the enemy formation. "Their formation is strong in front, but gaps exist on the sides. Move quickly before they adjust." Elias gritted his teeth and pushed the Odyssey to full power. The ship darted to the side, weaving between enemy fire. Explosions lit the void, and shards of metal from destroyed drones floated past them. The three worked as one, their actions synchronized by trust and courage. Suddenly, a larger vessel emerged from behind an asteroid. Its energy cannons glowed with lethal intensity. Elias's mind raced. "They're trying to trap us," he said. "We have to split their focus." Kayla nodded. "Then we create a distraction. Lyra, can you project an illusion in their sensors?" Lyra concentrated, sending waves of false energy signatures to confuse the enemy. The large vessel fired wildly at the phantom targets, giving the Odyssey just enough space to maneuver. Elias guided the ship into a narrow corridor of asteroids, a dangerous but strategic path. The enemy ships followed, crashing into rocks and debris, their formations breaking apart. Sparks and fire trailed behind them as they tried to regain control. "Good thinking, Lyra," Elias said. "Kayla, keep the shield strong. I'm going to hit them from above." Kayla nodded, her hands flying over the console. "I've got you. Focus, Captain." Elias maneuvered the Odyssey above the remaining enemy vessels, firing energy pulses to disable their engines. One by one, the extremist ships were rendered immobile, drifting helplessly in the asteroid field. The trio let out a small cheer, but Elias knew this was only a temporary victory. "Captain," Lyra said, her voice tense, "the extremists' main base is still operational. They will retaliate, and they have discovered our method to free both of us. They will stop at nothing." Elias's jaw clenched. "Then we go to the source. We finish this. Together." Kayla's eyes sparkled with determination. "Finally. I was hoping for this. Let's end their cruelty." The Odyssey navigated through the debris, approaching the main extremist station. This structure was larger, more fortified, and surrounded by an energy field that pulsed with lethal intensity. Elias studied the schematics and the energy readings. "The neural override we used before won't work on this scale," he said. "We need a new plan. A risky one." Lyra and Kayla leaned closer. "We're ready, Captain. We trust you," Lyra said softly. Elias nodded. Then here's the plan. We will infiltrate the station using the asteroids for cover. Kayla, your kinetic powers will help us bypass physical barriers. Lyra, your telepathy will sense traps and security measures. I will guide us through and synchronize our actions. The journey to the station was tense. Each asteroid passage required precise calculations and timing. Every misstep could trigger alarms or worse. The Odyssey dodged energy mines, automated turrets, and cloaked patrol ships. Elias's skill as a pilot was pushed to the limit, yet he remained calm, focused, and determined. Finally, they reached the outer hull of the station. Kayla directed bursts of kinetic energy to melt portions of the energy barriers. Sparks and heat flared, but the pathway opened. Lyra guided them through the station's maze-like corridors, sensing every hidden trap and avoiding it. The extremists had fortified the core, the place where all prisoners and energy systems were controlled. Elias's mind raced. The neural interface could link all three of them again, but the energy levels required were far higher than before. One wrong move, and the overload could kill them instantly. "We can do this," Elias whispered. "We've come this far. Nothing will stop us now." Kyla's eyes glowed as she prepared to channel her energy. "Then let's finish it." Lyra's telepathy intertwined with Elias's mind. "I can guide the flow. Focus, Captain. We will succeed together." Elias activated the interface. A surge of energy flowed through him, connecting his mind to Lyra and Kayla. The station trembled as the extremists' systems reacted violently. Alarms screamed, energy fields flickered, and sparks flew. Yet, Elias held firm, synchronizing their minds with calm precision. The extremists rushed to the control deck, shouting orders and firing weapons, but their efforts were useless. Elias anticipated every move, using the neural connection to counter their defenses. Lyra and Kayla strengthened the connection, their powers reinforcing his focus. Minutes felt like hours as they struggled against the station's systems. Elias's body burned with exhaustion, but his resolve never wavered. One by one, the restraints holding the hostages weakened. The energy fields collapsed, freeing dozens of alien captives in addition to Lyra and Kayla. The extremists realized their defeat too late. Their ships and weapons were disabled, their station crumbling under the strain of the overload. Elias, Lyra, and Kayla moved quickly to the docking bay, guiding the freed hostages aboard the Odyssey. "Everyone aboard?" Elias asked, breathless but determined. "Everyone," Kayla confirmed. "Thanks to you," Lyra added, "and to humanity. You have shown that courage, intelligence, and compassion are stronger than cruelty." Elias smiled faintly, despite the exhaustion. "We all did this together. That is the true strength." The station exploded behind them, a massive fireball illuminating the void of space. Debris scattered in all directions, but the Odyssey slipped through the chaos unharmed. The trio watched silently, knowing they had achieved the impossible. They had defied the extremists' orders, saved countless lives, and shown that human ingenuity could overcome even the most advanced alien technology. Yet Elias knew this was not the end. The extremists were still out there, and the galaxy was vast and unpredictable. But for now, they had won. They had survived, and they had proven that the human spirit, when combined with trust and determination, could overcome any obstacle. Lyra floated near the cockpit, her glowing eyes reflecting both relief and admiration. "Captain, I have never seen such courage. You risked everything for us all." Kayla nodded. "And not just courage, but intelligence and heart. Humans are remarkable indeed." Elias leaned back in his seat, exhausted but satisfied. "We'll rest soon. For now, we need to get to safety and plan our next steps. The extremists will not give up, but neither will we." The Odyssey moved forward into the endless expanse of stars, carrying its passengers toward safety, hope, and the promise of future victories. Elias knew that more challenges awaited, but he also knew that as long as humans remained courageous, resourceful, and united, they could face anything the universe had to offer. And as the stars stretched endlessly ahead, one human had proven that the power of the human spirit could shine brighter than any weapon, any technology, and any threat. The journey was far from over, but the impossible had already been accomplished. The Odyssey glided through the darkness of space, carrying Elias Ward, Lyra, Kayla, and the freed hostages toward safety. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, calm and silent, but Elias knew that peace would not last long. The extremists who had orchestrated the kidnappings were ruthless, cunning, and far from defeated. "Captain, we are being followed," Lyra's voice echoed through the ship. Her telepathic senses picked up a distant but persistent energy signature. "A fleet approaches, smaller vessels faster than before. They have learned from their mistakes." Elias leaned forward in the cockpit, scanning the readings. "They won't stop, but neither will we. Kayla, Lyra, we need a plan." Kayla's eyes narrowed. "We can't fight them head-on. Too many, but we can use the environment. The debris field near the comet belt. It's dangerous, but it can work to our advantage." Lyra nodded. "Yes. I can predict their movement patterns through telepathy. We can use misdirection to split their fleet." Elias exhaled. "Good. Let's do it." The Odyssey moved toward the comet belt, weaving through massive chunks of ice and rock. The pursuing vessels followed cautiously, but Elias knew that every turn, every obstacle could be used as a weapon. "Prepare the defensive systems," he said. "Shields full, weapons ready, and stay close to me. We move as one." Kayla directed energy bursts to reinforce the shields, while Lyra projected illusions, sending false signals of the Odyssey's location. The extremists fired blindly at the illusions, wasting energy and exposing themselves. Elias maneuvered skillfully, weaving between comets and asteroids. Sparks and fragments flew past the hull as lasers and energy blasts struck the rocks around them. One vessel collided with a comet, breaking apart in a brilliant explosion. Another skidded into a smaller asteroid, spinning helplessly into the void. "Keep going!" Elias shouted. "We're separating them!" Lyra's telepathy guided them through the belt, sensing the safest paths while predicting the extremists' next moves. Kayla reinforced the shields at critical moments, keeping the ship intact against the collisions and attacks. The teamwork was flawless. Suddenly, the lead extremist ship emerged from the shadows, larger and more heavily armed than the rest. It fired a concentrated energy blast directly at the Odyssey. Elias's heart pounded, but he stayed calm. "Now, Kayla! Lyra, do your part!" Kayla unleashed a wave of kinetic energy, diverting the blast into a nearby comet. Sparks flew as the energy collided with the ice, creating a shower of debris that temporarily blinded the enemy sensors. Lyra's telepathy amplified the effect, projecting false images of the Odyssey in multiple directions. The lead ship miscalculated, colliding with a massive asteroid and spinning out of control. One by one, the remaining extremist vessels faltered, caught in the chaos of the comet belt. Elias guided the Odyssey through the field, dodging debris and pursuing ships with unmatched precision. Finally, the fleet was broken. The extremists were scattered, their ships disabled, their morale shattered. The Odyssey emerged from the comet belt, battered but intact. The hostages cheered quietly, relieved and inspired by the human captain who had defied impossible odds. "We did it," Elias said, his voice steady but tired. "We stopped them, for now." Lyra floated beside him, her bioluminescent glow warm and soft. "Captain, you have shown strength, courage, and heart. Humanity is remarkable. You risked everything to protect not only your own life, but ours as well." Kayla's voice carried pride and respect. "And you succeeded, not just for us, but for everyone." You have proven that courage and intelligence, combined with unity, can overcome even the most advanced technology. Elias smiled faintly, exhausted but satisfied. It wasn't just me. It was all of us. Together we made the difference. That's the real strength. The Odyssey continued toward the nearest friendly outpost, where they could report the extremists' defeat and ensure the safety of the hostages. But even in these quiet moments, Elias knew the galaxy was unpredictable. There would always be new threats, new challenges, and new decisions that required courage. As they approached the outpost, Elias prepared a message to the Council of Allied Planets. He described the extremists' tactics, the bravery of Lyra and Kayla, and the strength of human ingenuity. He hoped this message would inspire not just humans but all species to work together and face challenges with courage and heart. When the Odyssey docked at the outpost, the crew and hostages were greeted as heroes. Aliens from multiple worlds came to see the human who had defied impossible odds. Elias stepped forward, modest but confident, allowing Lyra and Kayla to take the spotlight as well. "You risked your life for both of us," Lyra said publicly, her voice strong and clear. "No one had done this before. A human chose not to make a cruel choice, and in doing so, saved all our lives." Kayla added, "This is proof that unity, courage, and intelligence are stronger than fear and hatred. Humanity has earned our respect." The crowd erupted in cheers. Elias felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of relief, pride, and humility. He had not sought recognition, but seeing the admiration and gratitude of these alien worlds filled him with hope. Later, in a quieter moment aboard the Odyssey, Lyra and Kayla approached him. "Captain," Lyra said softly, "you risked everything to save us. You have proven that humans are capable of great courage, even when the odds are impossible." Kayla nodded. "And not just courage. Your heart guided your actions. You valued life over rules, freedom over fear. That is what makes humanity strong." Elias leaned back, exhausted but happy. "I didn't do it alone. Both of you were there with me. Your trust and strength gave me the courage to act. This victory belongs to all of us." The three looked out at the stars in silence, knowing that the universe was vast, unpredictable, and full of danger. But they also knew that together they could face anything. The human spirit, combined with unity and trust, could overcome even the most impossible odds. Days passed as they repaired the Odyssey and assisted in restoring the outpost. The hostages returned to their homes, carrying stories of the human who had defied cruel rules and saved countless lives. The extremists were defeated, scattered, and their power broken. Yet Elias, Lyra, and Kayla knew that vigilance was necessary. The galaxy was full of threats, but also full of possibilities. They had forged a bond that transcended species, proving that courage, heart, and intelligence could unite different worlds in the face of danger. As they prepared to continue their mission of exploration, diplomacy, and protection, Elias looked at his two companions. "No matter what comes next," he said, "we face it together. We do not abandon anyone. We fight for what is right, and we trust in each other." Lyra smiled, her eyes glowing softly. "Together, we are unstoppable." Kayla added, "And together, we will show the galaxy the true strength of humanity." The Odyssey lifted off, moving into the endless stars, carrying heroes, hope, and the proof that even in the darkest moments, courage and unity could shine brighter than any weapon, any threat, or any force in the universe. Elias leaned back in his chair, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the exhilaration of triumph. Humanity had proven once again that heart, intelligence, and courage could overcome even impossible odds. And as the stars stretched ahead, he knew this was only the beginning. New adventures, New challenges and new opportunities awaited. But one thing was certain: the human spirit would always rise, unbroken, unwavering, and unstoppable. The universe was vast, the dangers were many, but humanity, and those who chose to fight alongside it, would never falter. And in that truth, Elias Ward found hope, purpose, and the courage to continue.